So if you think working in branding and marketing is hard now, buckle your seatbelts. I think it's about to get a lot worse. Remember, it wasn't that long ago when you could control how people thought about your company, how people thought about your brand. Before social media, which is my lifetime, I mean, it's only been, 15 years or something since we've had social media around. You could sit around in your organization and decide what people knew about you. You would place ads that said, here's some stuff you should know about us. You'd run a TV commercial and said, you should think about our new product this way. And people did. And unless you were doing something really, really bad that earned you some negative press in the newspaper, remember those paper things that we'd read every morning? As long as you stayed out of the newspaper with bad news, you can kind of control what people knew about you and how they thought about your organization. Then along comes social media. And social media starts to make it less possible to control what people think about you because everybody can talk about you. One bad customer experience in a store with a sales associate and people are out saying all kinds of nasty things and hiding behind fake avatars and names on different social media platforms and spreading rumors. Who knows? Half of that could have been coming from your competitors for all we know. The point is, though, regardless of what's going on with that you lost control of the conversation unless you jumped in and started to also participate on these platforms. So at least you still had that. At least you could still jump into the game, play football with everybody else, and try and control where the ball was going. And you had some ability to still participate. Here's what's going to happen next. Computers and digital processing, thanks to what quantum computing is about to bring at us, it's going to make it possible for everything that has ever occurred inside your company, all the data, anything at all that has ever happened, that you've ever done, that you've ever participated in, any mistakes you've made, all the good things you've stuffed, the people you've hired and fired and what they're all about, all of that will be able to be processed that quickly. So there will no longer be a need to actively participate in making your brand and creating a brand position. Your brand position in the marketplace, once quantum computing hits that state where it's suddenly able to process everything about you, and I mean that in the broadest possible sense of the word, well then what you've done and how you've behaved, that's the only thing that's going to matter. If you've lived according to the values of your organization and the values of your customers, you'll be fine. That's going to be your brand. There won't be any other way to control this because it's just going to be possible to know everything about you, whether you want that to be the case or not. So are you ready for that? Do you know what your customers value? Do you know what their shared core human drivers really are, so that you can live up to those values and those expectations and wants and needs that your customers have? Many companies don't. And that's why we invented the Value Graphics database, to help pinpoint that with statistical accuracy and say, here's what your target audience actually cares about. So be that, do those things. It's not only necessary for the future when everything changes into this kind of crazy futuristic thing that I've just described. It's necessary right now. It's necessary to understand what your target audience cares about so you can just give them more of that and stop worrying about the stuff they don't care about so much at all. It's a better way for companies to move forward. Happy to give you the math on why it's as much as 8 times more effective and will impact your ROI that much than what you're doing right now. And it's a better way forward for the world. Because here's the thing. Demographic stereotypes, demographic profiling, and even psychographic profiling, all it does is divide us. It just pushes us apart and says, this people are like that, these people are like this, black, white, rich, poor, young, old. It's inherently a divisive way to look at the world. And if we use value graphics, the things we have in common, the things that make us human, our core human values, if we use that as a way to understand each other, well, then we will get to a better place in a better way. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. We can change the world if we start by changing the way we look at the world.